Hello and welcome to my show Indus Cuisine, and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. We're back with a new episode from the heart of Pakistan. Today's recipe is very interesting and the recipe's name is potato and chicken stew. This recipe came to Pakistan with the Britishers when they were ruling the subcontinent. It's a very easy recipe, and back in the day this recipe was made with mutton and beef, but as you can see, the world is coming towards the poultry side more, and households are going for protein such as chicken, which are easier to cook. So the ingredients of this recipe are very interesting, very easy, but the way of cooking this recipe is a little different. For this recipe, what do we need? We need around 1 kilogram of chicken with bone, because remember one thing, whenever you are making stew, you need the bone. If you do not have the bone, the chicken or the meat bone, the curry or the gravy of the stew will not have a nice flavor. Apart from that, you need around 6 baby onions, which are also known as small onions, and then you need around 8 to 10 baby potatoes, or also known as the small potatoes. We will peel them and keep them on the side. Then you need some mustard oil. Yes, you've heard it right. This recipe will be using mustard oil, and we will only be using 3 tablespoons of oil for this recipe, and that's about it. Then you need some desiccated coconut. This desiccated coconut will be used in a very different way, which I shall let you know how. Then you need around a cup of milk, and then you need some green chili, ginger, garlic, which should be fresh. Then you need some bay leaf, you need some cinnamon, you need some cumin seeds, coriander powder, and salt to taste. This recipe is very easy, will be made in 2 parts, and the first part is to add all these things into a pressure cooker. So what I'll do is I'll take the pressure cooker and I shall just place it on the stove. We shall not use the pressure cooker for too long because we're just doing chicken, but the way to do it is through this, and it will also quicken up the cooking process. We'll add around 1 liter of water, which goes in. Remember, a stew always has water. It will have other ingredients after the water is properly utilized. Okay, apart from that, what do we need? We need a little bit of salt. I'll add around a half teaspoon of salt. Then I'll add around 3 pieces of cinnamon, the small pieces, that's it, a pinch of cumin. Then what I'll do is I'll take some ginger, place it over here, and then I shall finely chop it. What I have to do is I just have to make these small cuts on the ginger so that the water passes through and through. Place it over here and do the same for this one. When this goes in, what I'll do now is I shall take a piece of garlic. I shall just half it and place it in the water. This goes in. We'll take a piece of green chili, take the stem off, throw it in the bin, just cut the top, and then make a slit over here. Pass it in. That is it. Apart from that, what do we need? We need all the potatoes to go in over here. So I'll keep this over here, and we shall just pick the potato and transfer the small potatoes into the pressure cooker. This goes in. Now, as you can understand that when you add the potatoes in the pressure cooker, it will be boiled with the chicken, which will give a very nice flavor. So now I'll transfer all of the chicken into the pressure cooker. Remember, the chicken must be washed once you buy it from the butcher, because you do not know how clean they are. It might look clean, but you must wash it at least 2 or 3 times. Now we shall just place the lid on top and cook it for 5 to 6 minutes once the whistle starts to blow on high heat. So what I'll do is I'll shift it over here, increase the heat, and let it cook. On the other hand, now we need to prepare this recipe further. I told you we'll be doing this recipe in 2 parts. Okay, now what I need is I need a frying pan. I'll keep it over here, and then what we shall do is we shall take around only 2 tablespoons of the mustard oil and let it come to heat. Okay, when this comes to heat, what I'll do is, on the other hand, I shall just take 3 cloves of garlic. I shall smash them and transfer them into the oil over here. Now you need to understand one thing, that the mustard oil has a very distinct flavor, distinct smell, and it brings a lot of flavor to the whole recipe. And if you do not have mustard oil, the only best substitute would be clarified butter, but still the flavor would be different, but the normal oil will not do justice to this recipe. Now what do I need? I need all the onions. I'll keep them over here. and we shall just start basically cutting them in a very particular manner. What I'll do is I need to just cook them enough so that I can process them. So I shall just cut it into half and then quarter. So what happened is that the onions have just fallen apart. Keep them on the side like this and just cut them into 4 quarters. That's about it. Cut it like this, slowly and gradually. It will take you a very, very long way in life. You have to cut them like this. Do not chop them. Remember that. Why? Because if you chop them, the onion gets more close to the cooking point, and what happens is that it gets super brown. Over here it won't get brown. If you see any root on, just take the root off, because most of the roots were already taken off before it was used over here. Now as you can see that it has come to heat already, the oil over there and the pan. What I'll do is I shall just pick this root up, the single one, and throw it on the side and transfer everything into the pan over here. This goes in. What I'll do now is I shall just take a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, place it on top, and now start mixing it. We need to give it a lid at least for a minute. When the pan comes to full heat, then I shall continue next. Till then it's getting heated up. What we'll do is we'll just clean up, and then I'll let you know what to do next. Don't go anywhere, keep watching Indus Cuisine. Once the pan comes to heat, start mixing it up, and as you can see, the mustard oil is a very yellow color when it comes to oil. So you can see that the onions will start absorbing the yellow color, and we shall start mixing it on high heat. Once they're coated properly, keep mixing, and the onions will start falling apart. Keep the heat super high and let it be over here. So now the next thing, what do we need? We need some ginger. What I'll do is I'll take just a tablespoon equivalent and just cut it into 4 halves. Take the blender, place it over here in front of you, and add the ginger first. Place 2 pieces of garlic in. Now what we'll do is we shall just take a tablespoon of desiccated coconut, also known as dried coconut, just for now. We shall take around a ladle of milk, transfer it over here, and just half of more. And now take the lid off from the onions. The onions are getting a nice char. And now the onions have basically fallen apart. Now what I'll do is I shall just reduce the heat and transfer all of the onions into this. So slowly and gradually transfer all of the onions. We're making a very smooth stew. And make sure to put each and every piece inside. This is done. Now, as you can see, the whistle is almost about to blow. Why? Because this part has come up. We will now start counting 6 minutes to be precise. Now take this and place it on the blender. Give it a lid properly and process it into a super fine paste. As you can see, it has converted into a fine paste. Now what we'll do is we'll go for a short break, and once we come back from the break, I will show you what to do next. Don't go anywhere, keep watching Indus Cuisine. Welcome back. You're watching Indus Cuisine and I'm your chef Basim Akhund. During the break, I just cooked everything and I will just show you the final look. It is super delicious. You can smell the broth. Now you need to remember one thing. To make you could say stew, you need the broth in which the chicken was boiling. That's the real flavor. Now what I'll do is I shall pick up a glass bowl and transfer all of the goodness over here. So I will just hold this and slowly pour all the water out. Transfer all the meat, the potatoes and all the spices into this, and you do not need the cooker anymore. So this goes at the back. And now what I'll do is I shall just place another bowl and shake it up and transfer the chicken over here. Now let the chicken cool down for at least 2 to 3 minutes. That will give you a very nice texture, and save this broth because this is all the goodness you will be needing. Now what do you need to do? Now you need to prepare this recipe, and for that you will now need another thing. You need a wok. The wok is placed here. Increase the heat to full, and now add the remaining oil. This goes in. Now what do we have to do? We have to bring the flavor out of this recipe. We need to pick up around 4 pieces of bay leaf. We need to add around just 2 small sticks of cinnamon, and we need to add a little bit of ginger. Now the ginger will be sliced first and then added. So what I'll do is I shall just cut it like this, and finally slice it paper thin. This is done. Now when this is done, what I'll do is I'll add the ginger over here and fry the ginger for at least a minute. Now it's not done over here. Mix it up. Reduce the heat to medium, and now get all of the onion over here. The onion needs to go here. Why? Because this is all the flavor you need. So I'll transfer all of the onion. Pick a spatula. And be super careful. Now just place it back over here. Do not waste anything, and just mix this up. When this is done, give it a lid and let it cook for 2 minutes on medium heat. Now what do we need? We need the same jug. It's not dirty, remember that. Why? Because it has all the flavor. Pick up the broth and transfer it over here. You need to remember it's very hot, so be very, very careful and transfer whatever you do not need back into the sink. Now firstly, we'll add all of the desiccated coconut. It goes in. This is where the flavor will come from. You need to realize one thing, that the broth needs to be hot, so that when you add the desiccated coconut, it will start losing its flavor in. Add around a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Add half of the cumin over here. Place around a 1/4 teaspoon equivalent of cinnamon sticks, and transfer 2 green chilies into this. Now we will give it a lid and make sure to tighten it properly. For that you have to push it down like this, so that nothing comes on top. When this is done, place the jug on top and start processing it till you see the color changing. We gave it around 30 seconds. As you can see, it has converted into a nice milky color. Now the reason behind that is that the desiccated coconut basically gave out the water. Now what we'll do is we'll let it rest over here. Come over here. As you can see that the onion is nicely cooked. Pick this up and start adding it into this slowly. Mix it up properly. And transfer all of it over here. When this is done, just mix it up properly. Keep this over here and transfer this over here. Do not keep it in the sink. Why? Because you can break the lid. Now what I'll do is I'll clean up a bit. Till then we'll get a boil over here, and then I'll let you know what to do next. So as you can see, it has come to boil. Now what I'll do is I'll start transferring all the meat and the potatoes in this. So just reduce the heat to 0 first, and slowly and gradually transfer everything. And you have to cook till the time the potato is cooked through and through. Slowly transfer it over here and pick this up and keep it on the side. Now just push it down and let it simmer slowly for at least 12 minutes. But till then this is simmering, we will not stop over here, we will keep cooking. Now what do I need? I need some green chilies, just a little slit. Why? Because you don't want to harm it. Pick up the paring knife, cut the top like this and place it over here. When this is done, just slit it a bit from center and now transfer this over here. Now what will happen is that the spice of the green chili will not go in because the seeds will not go out in the gravy, but the flavor will be integrated through this skin, which is the flavor of the vegetable. Now we will add the cumin seeds, then add the coriander powder. Once this is done, keep this on the side and add the remaining milk over here. The remaining milk goes in, start mixing it properly. And just swirl it around. Now as you know that I added just a little bit of salt, so what I'll do is I'll add half a teaspoon by spreading it out. And whatever you do not need, put it at the back and keep your counter super clean. Okay, now mix it up. And just shake it. When this is done, I'll pick the plate, I'll keep it on the side, and I will just rinse my hands and then let you know what to do next. So now the remaining ginger will go in, but how will we add it? We need to slice it finely. Why? Because we need the flavor of the garlic to be super fine, and even if it comes in the bite, it will be so paper thinly sliced that it will give you the perfect flavor. So slice it super fine. And pick up the second piece. And this is done. Now what I'll do is I'll transfer all of the garlic over here. It has come to boil. So when it starts boiling, we will put it on low heat so that the garlic also loses its flavor inside nicely. And then we shall add just a little bit of ginger more. Why? Because the ginger, when it is fried, it tastes different, and when the ginger is added towards the end, it tastes a little different. So as you can see, there are the same ingredients, but when you change the timing in Pakistani cooking and the procedure, the flavor of the recipe also changes. So everything is done. Now I'll let this cook for at least 12 minutes and then show you the final look of the recipe. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching Indus Cuisine. So as you can see, today's recipe is ready. It was quick and easy, and it was made in 2 parts. Remember one thing, that the recipe for today was basically once upon a time known as the Irish stew. When the Britishers and the Irish culture mixed, the stew basically came to the Britishers also. And when the Britishers came to Pakistan, they brought their culture with them, and with the local spices, when it integrated, everything changed. I hope you liked today's episode, and if you have any queries or if any requests, you can go to our official YouTube page of Indus News and you can write your request in the comment section underneath the episode of Indus Cuisine. I'll see you in another episode of Indus Cuisine. Take care of yourself, lovely people. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.